Everyone, so this is going to be the second video of making the user ID and password in Python. So in last video we saw some of the demo about how to make the use the hash for the passwords and stuff. So today we will be actually making some of the hashes, and we'll actually make the functions to do the user ID and password things. So let's get started. So here we'll see making some actual codes. So this video might be a bit long. Anyway, so let's get started. So this is the user id.pass.py, and here we're gonna start with the hash bang things. And the first thing that we would like to do is that add new users. You know what, add new user, and in this one we will be having two arguments of this one. One will be the data file. Okay, I think I should name it that file, and this will have the default value of this one. So we will be storing all our whatever new user data and hashes and everything, so we'll be storing it here. So let's put this value here, and we will see that there will be a maximum number of attempts that users are allowed to have entered the new user ID and password. Okay, so let's get the doc string. Add new user to that file, make it camel case with some attempts. Okay, so in this one we will be actually importing some of the libraries. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the getPass method from the getPass library, and from patchlib.has bkdf2, and let's import SHA-512 as, sorry about that. So okay, by default it will do pass always, and also we will be importing CSV library. Okay, now while true, let me make this bigger. Now we'll check whether the number of attempts has been reached. Okay, so then we will do print number of attempts has been reached, and I'm going to return a false value here because I don't want the while loop to run indefinitely. Okay, and if this is not reached, then I will enter, I'll get the username from the people, and the user will have the username entered. And here at this moment we need to check that whether the username exists in the CSV file or not. So we can do it in a couple of ways. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to simply validate the username hash. If the username hash is validated, that means it exists in the database, otherwise it doesn't. So by the way we can say that whether the username is actually exists or not. Okay, so we're going to define some function for that, and what I'm going to do is name it validate from CSV file by field name. That should be fine, or just by field should be fine too. And here I'm gonna pass the data file and as well as the username that has been entered, and we need to pass what field it has been entered. So this will make sense in a minute. So here I'm gonna do it like this. So let me define this function, and hopefully this will be making some sense now. So file name, okay, make it a bit camel cased, string, and field. Validate string from field of the file name. Okay, hopefully this documentation makes some sense because I'm not spending much time. Alright, so once we have this, we will gonna make our validation from here. So I'm gonna do one thing. I'm gonna import my passlib here. df2 as ps. Okay, so we'll import our CSV file, and what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna open the CSV file. I'm gonna check in this particular field, do the string is and I'll have the string, and I'll try to verify it using this algorithm here. So let's get started with that. So when you open the file itself, file name, this is going to be the file I'm opening. So basically this is the data.csv, and I'm going to open it in the read mode. Let's have a file handler, CSV file. This should be fine. All right, and then we will have a CSV reader. So this is the reading handler. So dictionary reader is the command that we are going to use, and this will be used in the CSV file. And we will have delimiter. Okay, so delimiter here we are going to use as comma because we will make sure the data is always comma separated. And then I'm going to run it over the rows. Okay, so we're going to take a variable field hash, and we're going to iterate it over the field. Alright, now here is the part we're going to actually check it. ps.verify, and we can use the verify method to check it, and we will check our strings and field hash. Okay, and if this is verified, then we will return true. Okay, so all it will do is that whenever this is this string is we'll have the string, and if the string is whatever we have in the field itself, it will just say that it will run over each of this field and on the entire file, and it will see whether the string can be verified using any of the hash. Okay, and we are taking the hash from here like a row field or something, and this field is provided by here. So in terms it should be a username field. Now let's go back to the data.csv, and here we haven't defined any field here. So what we are going to do, we are going to define two fields. One is the username and another will be the password. The username will contain all the username hashes rather, and the password will contain all the password hashes, and both will be separated by comma. Okay, so this is about the validation script that we have wrote. Now let's finish this function itself. So if it has been validated, then we will prompt the user to pick a different username. So username exists okay, and here since we are repeating this one, so we will make sure the attempts are decremented by 1. However, if they succeed, we will prompt them to enter the password. Now here is the getPass method that we just imported from the getPass library that will come into picture. Now there should probably be some password rules, and what we are going to do, check password rules. We're going to create a definition here and we're going to pass the password. Okay, so this is what we're going to do, but let's define this function first. So check password rules. Okay, so string. So the password rules, let's make some rules. Min length is 8 or more. Max length is less than 50. Must have some lowercase characters. Must have at least one uppercase character. Must have a digit. Must have a special character. Must not contain any white space. Okay, these are the password rules that we have, and let's just start implementing this. Okay, oops. So for this one I'm going to import the regular expression library, and let's just validate this. If so, first rule is the length should be such. So the length of the string, this should be less than, okay, should be greater than 7. And length of string, it should be less than 50. So this is for the first two, some lowercase. So re search, so regular expression search it should do, and the expression should be A to Z and it should be having a plus sign, and this should contain a string, and search A to Z. This is a string again. So this is the uppercase character. Now for the digit, zero to 9, it should be having. Okay, for the special character, now let's define some of the special characters, and I think these are fine enough. Okay, and then we are also saying that it should not contain any white spaces. So new line and tab along with the space, this it should not have. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I think we have covered most of the things here. Now let's return the value. Okay, and here when we say the else statement, we should also notify the user that they have to obey the password rules, and they may not know it in the first time. So we will say the incorrect input for the password. Okay, and here basically we will say this doc string. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, it came kind of like each time it came with a new line. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a macro to do the formatting. Okay, so let me start a macro here. So here it starts, go to the end of the line, give it delete, make single space, and make a new line here. Alright, so and then stop the macro, nameless keyword macro, let's name it some arbitrary thing, and let's name this thing, see it's working, it's quite working. Alright, okay, this kind of worked. Okay, so this will gonna be printed, and if it prints something like the password is correct or something like that. Okay, so this will be all set and done. Now let's come back to our original code here. Now if this is done, then obviously it will be saying that the password is obeying the password rules. Okay, and since it's obeying the password rules, I'm gonna be actually starting hashing my data. So what we're gonna do here is that username hash is some function I'm gonna define, and it's gonna hash the password itself. But before that, I'm gonna make sure there will be a custom PS format thing that we are gonna use, and this will be a derivation of the PS library, that SHA-512, and we are going to be using a using method, and we'll be having our custom salt size and custom rounds. This we have seen in already in video number 1. If you haven't seen it already, please check it out, it's pretty good. Okay, so salt size. Now I'm going to keep it a really long salt size, 128-bit. And rounds I'm gonna keep as 100,000. That should be a decent round value. So since we have done this one, now we can actually username hash. So we're now actually gonna be hashing it. So cust ps dot hash Okay, that took unusually more time. Okay, let's see if I can do something here, like use the iEdit. So iEdit is not that good actually. Okay. Okay. Okay, so here we have changed it to the password hash and username to the username hash. Now we are going to actually write this one to the CSV file. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open this one. Now here again we are going to use the dat file, and we are going to use it in the append mode. Make sure that you open it in the append mode, because if you make it W, then it will rewrite this thing all the time. So CSV file, that should be good enough for the file handler. And now here we are gonna make the handler for the writing. Okay, so we have the dictionary writer here, and what we're gonna do, CSV file, we're gonna pass the variables as CSV file. We will be passing the field names. So this is an array, so we need to pass it as an array. Okay. And here we have our password. So by default it needs a line terminator, and line terminator by default is always doesn't have a new line, but we need to have it in order to make sure that all the passwords are entered in new line. So we will make the line terminator as \n. Now this should always write it in the new line itself. Okay, so let's start writing it. So when we start writing it, so we need to pass the field name and whatever the value it is trying to pass. Okay, so username will be the field name, and username hash will be my value of whatever I'm passing. And here I'm passing the password hash. Alright. And if everything goes well, I'm going to pass return true. So this should be able to add the new user. Now let's make a method for or either a function for checking these things, like the validating of these things, you know. So validate input username password. Okay, and here also we will have the dat file, and obviously this needs to be passed with whatever the data file we had, that is the data.csv, and we will have again our attempts, and we will have by default I'm gonna have less attempts than adding the new user. So validate user name and password. Okay, now again, since we are validating it from, okay, I can use the snippets here, passlib.hash and pb kdf to sha52 as ps. Now while I'm gonna make sure the username and passwords are entered. Okay. Now again I'm kind of doing the similar programming here. So if attempts are 0, then print max number of okay, so there was a printing mistake or typing mistake here. Okay, I'm gonna return false. Now if this is there, then it will be 0. Whenever this is 0, then it will return false, else it will go to the next state. Now here comes the good part of whatever the function we defined here. So we're going to basically use this function as here. Okay, I didn't save the okay, validate from CSV file by field. This is the function where we have already written and we are going to use it. So what we are going to do, we are going to check it for both username and password itself. So dat file username and the field username. Okay, and validate CSV dat file, then we will have the password and the field as password. Okay, so if both the things are matching, then we will say both username and password are matching, and we will return true. Okay, and if it doesn't happen, by default there is something wrong, and here I'm gonna say either username or password, let's make it lowercase, is not matching. You have, now here we're gonna say how many attempts the user has left. Tries left. And finally, this is gonna decrement the attempts. Now, since we are checking whether the attempts has reached 0, so by default it should be fine whenever it is being checked. Okay, so let's start our Python shell. Okay, so I'm starting the Python shell, and let me load up the CSV data value too. Okay, let's send the things. So we have probably not done any typing mistake along the way. So I'm gonna add new user here, and it's prompts for the username. I'm gonna enter my name, and let me enter a password. Okay, it's saying that the entered password is obeying the password rules, and it has entered. You can see these things, these strings here. So let's just go back here for a moment in order to see this better. So if you can see that this first part is what we have discussed in the first video. So this is the algorithm type, and from this part itself to all the way here, this is our username, and the next part is the password itself. So this is the hash, and we have made this from the simple string itself. So let's try to enter another username. This time I'll enter my surname. Okay, so this time we have some issue here, and the global name field is not defined. Okay, so let's check this out, what might have happened. Okay, so as usual I have done some typing mistake. Let me try this again. And this time it did not complain, so this function probably got through and it did not find the same username here. And let's try to get the password here, and you see again this said that the entered password is correct, so it has given us this thing. Okay, so let's try to enter my username again. This time it should complain. Username already exists, please use a different name. And this time let's say I am adding some more strings here. So this username is unique, but I'll not give the password as per the recommendation. I'll give 1 2 3 4 5, and you can see that it has said what it need to say. So basically it told us that whatever the thing that we have entered, that is not correct, and we need to enter the correct one. And I'm gonna try a couple of times and see whether this function exists after 5 times. Okay, so the max number of attempts has been reached, so it has exited. So let's try to validate this thing. Alright, there is some issue here. Okay. Okay, I have not imported the git pass library. Okay, so it's prompting for the password, and let's see, both username and passwords are matching because we just entered whatever I entered. It was the actual password that I was intending to enter. And let me try with the wrong one, and here I'm gonna enter 12345 as the username and password is not matching. So next time what I'll do, I'll give the password of the surname associated with it, and it's saying that both the username and password is matching. Let's try one more case. So here I'm gonna enter the password of the other guy, and it's saying that both username and password is not matching. So basically I tried the password for this one with the username of this one and it did not match. Sorry, it did got matched, so this should have okay. So this is basically a flaw of the code that I have written for this one, because it's always checking the thing in this one. So if we have some code on that, so this will not match in this case. So I need to modify this code a bit in order to make sure that username and password matches by its own. It does not one username to the other one should not be able to match. So this we will do in the next video, and thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Okay, and hit like and thumbs up if you liked it, and please subscribe to my channel. Bye bye.